Hello and welcome to the Comic Book Central, or as we like to call it, the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
On that,
and today we're going to be reviewing,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
yep, episode 18 entitled No Regrets. So, tell them how it started off.
I don't even remember. I
Oh,
mean,
knock it off,
we're
man.
still we're still in the mainframe.
This was a good episode. Yeah, of
You think
course
so?
they're still in the mainframe. They're going to drag it out.
Yeah, I mean they did, but I suppose at least, much as we're still in the mainframe, at least some stuff happened this week.
A lot of stuff happened. So, I
Yeah.
mean, as I said last week, they're all still going on about Fitz killing that
hmm
Agnes or whatever. It's like, whatever, man. I told you, what? It's like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? So, Daisy is still imprisoned in the wherever she's imprisoned, Hydra Central.
Hydra. Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're starting to make plans to attack Hydra directly. So they learn of a bus which is carrying people to an internment camp or a correctional facility, but like more of like a brainwashing facility. So the Patriot heavily features in this episode. So they go to stop that bus, so they stage a little car crash thing and they decide, oh no, what will make it more convincing if I tip this car on its side, and for a second it looked as though it was going to fall down on him when he tipped it up. So yeah, I mean, there were a couple batty things in there really. I mean, you got Fitz's dad who's like back alive, and then the whole, oh, I wonder what man I'd be if I didn't have you.
hmm
A good guy, I guess. So, what did you think?
What I'm trying to work out is, she said, Madam Hydra said she removes the regret from everyone's life, right?
Yeah.
So it's obvious with some of them, like Mac has a kid and whatnot. Is is Fitz's regret that his dad died?
Well, Why would that be a regret? Because that's not something he could directly.
So what is his regret? That he didn't make himself a super rich guy? I don't get it. What's his regret? Surely his regret, the one regret Fitz would have, is if he didn't have what's her face, the other one, Simmons.
Well, what was the beef with his dad? Because there was beef with his dad, right? His dad used to mug him off.
I guess, yeah.
Well, there we go then.
So that is his regret. So
Well, it's got to be something to do with his dad, or his dad wouldn't be alive.
I suppose the Fitz thing, I guess, is kind of interesting, but it's like I do feel like they've kind of pulled their punch by having them kill what's her face, the real Madam Hydra, because she was already dead. Now, it's not like the case with the Patriot who's died in the mainframe, so he dies in real life. Like, it doesn't effectively he killed a ghost.
Oh well, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not have no long term effect. Otherwise, I think it's kind of an interesting route to go down.
Well, they were whole pulling the whole innocent woman. Yeah, if it was a guy, I don't think they'd care as much. It's just the fact it was like a poor defenseless woman.
Of course,
So
Fence's ghost, though.
it's very sexist. I mean, let's be honest. Well, it is really that there's more of a kind of bothersome thing that if he shot a guy, if it was a guy there, like no one would really be that bothered. It's just the fact it's a woman. There's a big hoo ha.
I don't know about that.
Is that something you agree with?
No, I think if it was just a random innocent guy, there'd be the same reaction.
I wouldn't go that far. So yeah, now Radcliffe's kind of in the same facility because obviously Madam Hydra comes to see Sky or Daisy, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah, but this part is actually quite funny. I thought
Well,
he just randomly calls her a crazy bitch from nowhere. That was pretty funny.
yeah, and then like he gets tasered in the next room. That was pretty good. So yeah, she's like, it's interesting because I was thinking, oh, why she's going on about how like she's admitting all this is like fiction and blah blah blah. I was expecting there to be a recording device or something like that.
It was kind of like Bond villainish, wasn't it? I'm going to tell you my evil plan for no real reason at all.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, and then eventually they end up talking, like Sky and Radcliffe, and then he kind of spills the beans, lets the monkey out the bottle, as it were, and tells it that there is a backdoor, and like she Madam Hydra can't do anything about it, in the sense that whatever, she just can't do anything about it. So what that means, whether it's something to do with killing him or something like that, who knows? They didn't really disclose that. It was a bit hush hush, and it was quite a big turning point. Obviously, you've got the whole, like, why would you give? Because they're spending a lot of time at the internment camp, and then everyone's like, oh, people are aware that none of this stuff really matters, but instead they decide, oh no, I'm gonna flipping start running into buildings and start saving a bunch of people, even though they're not important, even though it doesn't really matter whether they save them or not, because really, indirectly, it doesn't matter because they're in the framework. So I mean, and then Fitz's genius idea is to give Agent May the super strength serum. It's like, why would you give her it? You know what I mean?
Because she's meant to be the number one agent.
Whatever.
Well, that's how it goes. She's super badass person of the show.
Nah. The fight was good when they started flinging each other about and there were like flips and stuff like that. That was pretty good, but
yeah, that's a role. I don't like that they gave her superpowers, though. I think if you're going to have her thing, is better that she's badass without having the powers. But I mean,
well, she got battered with the powers.
Yeah, I was wrong about May as well. I was thinking like she was maybe undercover and she knew. Apparently not.
No. No, because they're like the people who go in there voluntarily, they know what's popping, but like the people who have been put in there by Aida, that they have no clue.
Yeah, and it's like they're not even. It's not even like they're snapping out of it as well. 'Cause remember a couple of episodes ago, it seemed like Coulson had snapped out of it. He was at the end of the episode. He was in a car, and it seemed like but he hasn't. It's still weird, like alternate Coulson.
Yeah, but it's kind of like he's playing along because he kind of trusts him. So yeah. Saying like, the Patriot and her start fighting, and she's like, it was basically just like turning May. This whole episode was turning May. So I mean, you got flipping her with the Patriot slaps her up, and she's like, oh, you're a thug and whatever, and it's like, nah, if I was that, I would have killed you. So he goes off, and then everyone starts flipping running into the building to save the children, even though really it doesn't matter. They get what's his name out, Trip or whatever.
Yeah, because during this episode, it's like the Patriot was looking for someone, and we hear Ward's not happy about it because he wants to go looking for Sky or Daisy, whatever we're calling her. And it turns out, I guess it was Trip, who died a while back in the show.
Yeah, I thought it was good they made a reference to they mentioned his grandfather, and they gave a Howling Commandos reference. That was pretty cool. It's
something we already knew, though. I mean, that was part of his character before, but
but it was just good anyway.
I assume he's not going to make out the framework. It's going to be like Ward, but it's a way of having. Because he was fairly popular when he was on the show, but I guess this is a way of having one last hurrah for his character. We don't know if the show's coming back yet. I don't think it's been renewed.
I think it has. No, I think there are reports it's probably going to be renewed.
Well, we'll see. But so they get Trip out, and then that's when Coulson decides, I'm not going to veil these fake kids again, right? And he goes chasing after him for some reason.
Yeah, that was so dumb. And then I don't know whether it was like remote control or whatever, because I was thinking it was remote control, and then the Quinjet like missiles the building on one side and then just flies off. I was just thinking to myself, well, what if they're like on the other side of the building? Nothing would have happened, but it just so happens that they're in that side of the building. So the building starts collapsing. The Patriot saves a kid holding the beam. This is where the last like 10 minutes of the episode was like the best bit. Everything else was kind of like batty. So he's holding the beam, and then May's like, I'm gonna pop you, blah blah blah, and then it turns out that she's not, and then the whole building collapsed. They saved the kid. It takes them like 10 minutes to save the kid. It's like, just go down there, pick him up and get out. So then the building collapses, and it's assumed he's crushed underneath it, dead now. And then it flicks into the real world, and then like his vitals are pretty much nothing, and she disengages. Now I'm thinking to myself, right, if she disengages him, pulls him out, can he be resuscitated, or is he literally dead?
I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it? It seems like, I don't think it's kind of the lame way for him to go out, to die in a fake world. But I mean, do we really need the Patriot on the show? Maybe not.
No, bring Captain America on.
Yeah, that's gonna happen, isn't it?
Could be. So yeah, and then the other big thing is May goes back and goes back into the cell, and it appears to be on side, and she cracks open the Terrigen mist or Terrigen crystal and releases the Terrigen mists, and then she goes into a Terrigen cocoon.
With a goofy smile on her face. That was lame.
That was it. The CGI was bad.
The
CGI was bad on that, like round her face and stuff like that. It was just like it cut off her chin. It's like you could barely see her grinning, but yeah, she had the goofy grin. It's like, I'm interested in why it didn't affect May as well.
Because she's not Inhuman.
Yeah, that's the point. If she's not Inhuman, it'll like kill her, won't it?
No.
Oh. I think it does.
No.
Yeah, the Terrigen mist. If someone who's not has latent Inhuman stuff, if they're exposed to it, they die.
No, she doesn't have latent Inhuman stuff. She's not Inhuman. She's not remotely Inhuman. It does nothing to her.
Well, I mean, they must have differentiated that from the comic stuff. But in the comics, that's what happens.
Like you're some Inhumans expert.
Well, yeah. If you're exposed to the Terrigen mist and you're not an Inhuman, you get abilities. It gives you abilities, but as a result, you end up dying of it quite quickly.
Nah, not in S.H.I.E.L.D. So
yeah, not in S.H.I.E.L.D., but in the real world.
Oh, not in the real world. There's no Terrigen mist in the real world.
Comic book world. So yeah, what else of note happened?
Not much. There was some stuff with Ward and Simmons. They're still kind of dragging that crap out. It's like, okay, look, you get it, right? He's a good guy in this world. What does it matter? He's not the real Ward. I don't. If we're going to move on to ratings, I would say 7.5. It was pretty good. But my one thing is that I am getting a bit frustrated that they're trying to force this what's real and what isn't crap with Simmons, and she's like, oh, these people aren't real, but then, oh, Max got a kid and blah blah blah. If this kind of stuff could work in Battlestar Galactica or any show you got ongoing now, Humans or whatever that crap is, where they're in that show's real world. They're not in the real world in this one though. This is all fictional. It's all fictional. None of these people are real, bar Simmons and Daisy and the rest of the S.H.I.E.L.D. people who need to get out. The rest of them are either dead or made up.
Exactly. That's why I made the reference to why would they run into the buildings and stuff like that. But I think that's a testament to Coulson still not knowing what's popping. You know what I mean? He's not convinced, so he still thinks these people are alive. I would give it an 8. I had a little bit of a fight in it. There's like next episode, and then one episode, and then that's the end. So whether they get out of the framework this episode, and it leads to a confrontation in the finale.
Mm-hmm. I think they'll wrap the story up. It seems to be the way they're going now. They're doing, even if they do get renewed, they're doing this whole like blocked story thing. So this year it's half of Ghost Rider, and then we got this whatever you're calling this story,
LMD, and then Agents of Hydra.
Yeah, so I think they'll wrap it up How they do it, I don't know. It probably will have something to do with Radcliffe. Seemingly, he really has nothing to live for in the framework now that his girlfriend's dead. So,
Well, really, he's dead anyway.
exactly, but I mean, he could theoretically live on the framework, but now there's no point, is there? The thing he wants is gone, so why bother?
Get another woman.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, bye.
I'm Sam.
I'm Matt.
And that is our review for No Regrets, the 18th episode of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. See you in the next episode.